What are the biggest lies told about you and debunk them? Oh my God. Today's podcast is sponsored by Hypnosio. It's a self-hypnotherapy app that is genuinely not like anything else in the weight loss space. And I know everyone always says, this is different, this is different. This one genuinely is. Hypnosio doesn't just throw another diet at you or shame you into working out, because that never works. It goes deep and works with your literal subconscious to achieve the goals that you want. It helps you rewire the emotional patterns that lead to stress eating, binge eating, overeating, and just overall self-sabotaging your goals. It uses guided hypnotherapy sessions available on any device or through their app. It'll target things like emotional eating, portion control, anxiety eating, and even the literal guilt and stress that makes you feel stuck and is such a roadblock for so many people. It's science-backed, clinically supported, and honestly, it's way more affordable than seeing an actual hypnotherapist in person. So here's what makes it so cool. It helps rewire your automatic food responses, lowers your stress and cortisol levels so that your body isn't fighting the progress. It teaches mindful eating and real hunger cues. And it supports long-term weight loss. 94% of its users kept the weight off better than control groups. And especially if you're someone who's busy, always traveling, or just doesn't want to have to micromanage your calories, this is so perfect for you. And plans start as low as $11 a month, which is insane since it's literally reshaping your brain's relationship with food. So if you're ready to stop fighting yourself and finally feel in control, head to hypnosio.com or download the app from the Google Play or App Store. Try it today. Thank you so much to Hypnosio for sponsoring this video. And now on to the rest of the video. Okay, let me rock my brain because it just comes with the territory of being a public figure you're lied about. But then when it comes to someone like me, you know, I've come to realize I trigger a lot in a lot of people. You know what I mean? I make people feel a lot of things, a wide variety of things. And so it's very strange how people just end up lying about you when you're someone who causes that. I definitely have seen, if we're thinking about lately, I've seen a lot of lies and even like media pieces implying and saying this, that I'm leaving Texas because of some sort of oppression being trans living in Texas, that's why I'm really leaving. I saw like this viral tweet that was like, we all know why she's leaving and she just won't say it. And I was like, first of all, how does this tweet have 200,000 likes? I'm like, who's paying for the bot farm, the anti-Blaire White bot farms? Number one. Number two, this is just like completely false. The ways in which my life have changed negatively post-election, with Republicans being in power, with Trump being in power, is literally zero. The closest thing to me being, let's just say, inconvenienced, affected at all, that I expected or thought was coming in Texas was I was being told by thousands of leftists in my comments, Texas is going to put a male, an M on your driver's license. They're going to change your documentation. They're going to put you legally male now. And I saw articles about it. I saw so much propaganda around that, right? That Texas was going to change my ID to male. I actually had to go get a new driver's license 1 week ago. So it was issued in September. And I'm waiting for the ID to come back in the mail. No pun intended. And I'm like, all right, we're going to see if the libs are right. That if Texas is going to change all my documentation that I went to court for, that I did all the right way. Let's see if that's the case. It came back with an F. So I'm like, it's so crazy how nothing they ever say comes true. I'll put a picture on the screen. It's so crazy how nothing the libs ever freak out about and say is going to happen happens. I was like, this is the one thing they're going to say and they're going to have me on. Not even that. Not that I would have even given a shit. I mean, again, when it comes to quality of life, who the fuck's quality of life is going to be affected necessarily by a letter being changed on their ID? And, you know, when I did change my gender legally, which was 10 years ago, I did feel very differently about what rights this community should and shouldn't have, to be honest. And there is a part of me now that it is being real, that I know it's not a problem for me to have an F because I'm a responsible citizen. But the idea that you can just walk in looking like Adam Sandler to the DMV and say you want a female on your ID, and that was like a thing for a while, I'm not supportive of that at all. So the idea that my life has been affected in any tangible way living in Texas, and that's why I'm fleeing, is just patently false. And it's really sad that people live in this like delusion of oppression As if there's not enough negative things in the world happening regardless. I'm moving back to California. First of all, I'm going to give people the benefit of the doubt. My audience and people's knowledge of me grew a lot after I moved to Texas. So maybe people thought that I just lived here, but I was born in California. So acting as if I'm just hopping over to any blue state, it's like I spent 27 years of my life living in California and like 4 here. So I'm allowed to go home where I have family and I have a political career that I'm planning out. So no, it's not because of anything to do with trans, and it's retarded to think that. But oh my God, other lies. I've seen so many things. I've seen people try to say that I'm somebody who is privileged, and that seems, petty or whatever to bring up. But it's like, that's actually a big one because people have my life so fucked up. And part of it's on me because I don't talk a lot about my, personal life. But anybody who knows my journey and my personal life and my childhood, heavy emphasis on that one, would never describe me as anybody who is privileged. I've seen people straight up lie to reinforce that and say that sugar daddies paid for my transition, that I'm rich, Vivian Musk, the Nepo baby, spread that lie that I'm somehow rich. You know what I mean? I'm absolutely financially secure because of my own hard work, but people just have me so twisted, and that's fine. People think I'm, paid by the Republican Party here or, this country here. People are crazy. I'm just a bitch in my house, living my life. So get over it. What do you think about the obvious separation between LGB and the T+++? I don't give a shit. It's a cult anyways. Why would I care about being part of some weird collective like that? Legitimately. Like, I know we talked about this before, but like, really think about it. How weird it is. How weird it is that I'm supposed to see a dude who bangs dudes, a girl who, eats snatch, a bisexual person, or some non-binary motherfucker, which I don't even think is trans. I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, those are my people. They're really not. None of y'all are my people. And it's not because you're that way. It's because you don't just earn your way into like my consciousness and like me being part of your thing because you're any of those things. It makes no sense. I don't agree with them politically. How do you feel about Israel taking over TikTok? Very concerning. You can even take the word Israel out of it. How do you feel about a foreign country purchasing TikTok and admitting on video to using it to propagandize Americans? That's concerning. And 5 seconds ago, we were all very concerned about China doing that. So why that concern is suddenly ghost? Like, where'd that go? From politicians and regular people. You know what I mean? Like, and I was one of these people that was like, oh no, this is a weapon from China. This is propagandizing Americans. And it was. But now that it's going to somebody else and they're, Bibi Netanyahu's on camera talking about the most important, effort in propagandizing Americans is his purchase of TikTok. Where's the smoke for that? And they already banned like using the juice box emoji. I feel like in America, we endure far too much censorship, far too much propaganda to tolerate a single other country also doing it. I mean, personally, I can't tolerate my own country doing it. So how the fuck are you going to expect me to tolerate another country doing it? Any country. Any country. If it was Canada, I'd be like, they're going to start propagandizing us for the assisted suicide program. We're going to have that in America now because in Canada, you can roll up because you're broke or autistic and you can have the state kill you. That's a thing. Look up the MAID program. So if it was Canada, our closest neighbor and ally and a culture that's probably the most similar to ours, I would still be like, that is a huge problem. The double standard, or I would say the lack of standards people have, that for this one country, they seem to have no smoke, and how they think that's not just as irrational as people who think that Israel is the cause of every problem. I said this in the Charlie Kirk segment. If you are somebody who blindly defends Israel and or never criticizes Israel, if you're a Israel has never done anything wrong ever person, you are just as irrational as the Israel is the only one who's ever done everything, ever person. And you think you're not two sides of the same coin, but you are, my dear. You're just on the opposite side of the spectrum, just as irrational. The truth is in the middle. And the truth is, we should not be comfortable with any country propagandizing us. What are your thoughts on secret societies, and do you believe in a new world order? Nice little light question. So my thoughts on secret societies are, there are secret societies and then there are secret societies. So the ones that you can find information about online obviously exist, and the secret is what they teach and they do behind closed doors. And I think that this is a very, very understated aspect of our reality in America and in the world, that these societies have so much more power than we give them credit for. Most people don't even know they exist, right? You got Freemasons, you got the Jesuits. Jesuits, I feel like, are a little more known, but they are spies. Hi, Danny. You have Rosicrucians. That was my family. My family were Rosicrucians, my dad's side. And I mean, if you just want to know some famous Rosicrucians, this is a word you probably never heard. Francis Bacon, Walt Disney. What is it? Isaac Newton? Let me double check that one. Yes, Isaac Newton. So not exactly inconsequential people, right? Just the person making all your children's propaganda, Walt Disney, the person inventing the scientific method. You know what I mean? Like, just some pretty up there stuff. And that was my family. And I escaped that. I'm estranged from them. Rosicrucianism as an ideology, I feel like, could be used in a way that doesn't form a cult or do negative things, but it has become a cult for a lot of people. And a lot of those people are very powerful and tied in with the government. So I do believe in them because I was born into one. So it's kind of like asking me, do you believe in dogs? Yeah, I had a dog growing up. Do you believe in secret societies? Yeah, my family were Rosicrucians. I grew up in a cult. It's just a question of how much they really influence things, which is a lot. A lot. In fact, the occult runs the world. And if you disagree with that, you simply haven't looked into it and you simply don't know what you're talking about. I'm so sorry. The second part, do I believe in a new world order? I believe that they have plans and they collaborate on an overall plan for the world. Absolutely. So if you want to call that the new world order, who knows what it's really called? Who knows if it has one name? You know what I'm saying? But of course I do. Of course I understand and believe intuitively and through common sense that there are people who run the world and they have a plan for the world. So people get caught up in words, you know what I mean? People get caught up in like the word Illuminati or the word or the phrase New World Order. And they think that because it's been so overused or because it's, you know, becomes a meme or because some crazy people also believe in it. But I also say crazy does not equal wrong. So stop saying crazy as if it means incorrect, because it doesn't. All it reveals is you haven't looked into it for yourself and you would rather smear the person or disregard them rather than actually refute what they're saying. So, yeah, all that. Do you go to church? Do you affiliate yourself with any type of church or just read the Bible yourself? The latter. I actually am not a big church person. I am not anti-church for any other people who choose that, obviously. And I think the deterioration of church-going people has really been negative for society overall, right? Like, I think a lot of y'all need to get in church. You really do. For me, however, because I believe that Christianity and my relationship with God is 100% a solitary, singular thing between me, it's a direct connection. I do tend to lean on studying and interpreting and learning about the Bible myself. I'm really big on learning about the history of Jesus. I'm really big on learning about the things they've hidden about Jesus. I'm really big on learning, you know, the teachings of Jesus that have been taken out or warped. I'm very big on developing that connection myself. That's not to say I don't lean on scholars who I will, you know, read their interpretations of things and try to use that discernment to find out for myself. But it's to say that, you know, there are multiple passages in the Bible that really imply that it's not about going to church. And so that's why I feel so comfortable stating I'm not really a church person, but I'm a Christian person. You know, the Bible says that the Most High does not dwell in houses made by hands. So it's not to say that you cannot find God or have a connection with God or anything by going to church. And so I'm not speaking down on people who do at all. Like I said, I wish more people went. However, for me, and it's subject to change, you know what I mean? I just prefer, I'm kind of someone just in life that prefers to do things like the hard way. I prefer to do things like the solo path. I prefer to do things all on my own because I also do have a certain level of distrust of all institutions and all organized, religious settings. And I think that it is healthy to have that, because there's been a lot of, obviously, let's just say, miscarriages of justice that have occurred under this blind trust and faith in religious institutions to always be moral and always protect people. Thanks again to Hypnosio for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Go check them out. Make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well as my podcast channel. Follow me on X, TikTok, Instagram, all the things, and I will see you in the next episode. Bye, guys.